Will Litecoin go below $40 over the next few weeks? There's a high probability, and today we're going to go over the technical reasons of why, remembering that the psychology, the buying and selling behavior is baked into the price action. So if you like today's video, like, subscribe, hit the bell notification. Let's dive straight into Litecoin. We've got a macro picture of Litecoin from its top back in November, and we're on a daily chart. And remember, the trend is your friend. Ride it until its end, until it reaches its bend. And clearly, Litecoin has been on a downtrend since this top up here. So the exact date was, this is a May 2021. So it's May 2021. And then this must have been the November top with the Bitcoin top as well. So markets moving 5s and 3s. And that's on a macro scale, on an intermediate scale, but also on a minor scale as well. We can zoom in and we're going to do 3 pretty much. First, focus on the macro. So this top over here, it's clearly had a massive correction. It looked like an ABC of a top, and it looks like we're in the final parts of what looks like to be a wave C. So we're going to go into a bit of detail on this part of the market, because what I want to get across today, because we can make money on Litecoin shorting the market, right? So we're looking to take a short probably next week, but markets tend to move in a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's what we're looking at up here as a top, and then typically some type of A, B, C correction. And Litecoin seems to be in this zone coming towards the end of a correction. And we always want to go with the trend. So what we're going to do here is we're going to zoom in, because this wave C, which is starting from up here and looks like it's going to end over here, would be below $40. And that's important to note. And the reason is, it looks like Litecoin is making this initial wave 1, wave 2. This is of the wave C itself, a wave 3. And then we've got this, what looks like to be a classic ABC of a wave 4. We've got some price ratios, which is really, really important, of a psychological nature. And then there's normally one more leg to the downside. And that's what we're going to focus on. So let's now zoom in to the immediate price action. Let's just really zoom this in and really focus right over here, because this is going to be really, really powerful. I'm going to bring up the dashboard trend identifier. So this is something that I built to make it easier for me to identify the trend. So when I'm looking at Litecoin, we can see that the weekly trend, it says a bull uptrend. And we want to be aware of what position that's in, because when the higher degree time frame, which is like the bigger trend, marries up with the pattern position, the price position, and then the lower degree time frame, all of a sudden we could have something quite powerful. So at the moment, it's saying bull trend. So we want to be aware of this and looking at this. I want to just quickly pop into a weekly chart to look at where is the macro momentum. Now, if you're not familiar with momentum indicators, it allows us to basically measure the rate of change. And more often than not, because markets tend to move in a nice rhythm, the momentum tops and the price tops can coincide. And those two things can be a really, really powerful combination. And by the way, if you want to test out my trend identifier, you can now try this out for £1 on a 30-day trial. It's phenomenal. Just make sure life a lot easier to identify the trend. You get buy and sell signals with it as well. £1, 30 days, lots of training that I've put together, because you only really want to be trading in the direction of the trend. That's in the link below. Check it out. It's just a game changer, making your life very easy indeed. So we're going to go into a weekly chart, top left-hand corner. And what I'm looking at over here is the blue and the red line. It's the stochastics RSI. It measures momentum and rate of change. But what you'll notice is it gives us a good indication. It's not perfect, but it gives a good indication that when the blue goes below the red, it tends to be some type of top. Blue goes below the red, some type of top, and then the price moves down. And where is the momentum right now? Well, it's just below what's called the overbought line, just below. So next week, we're probably going to get either a bearish reversal, or probably it's just going to be in this zone over here. So what that indicates to us is that we're at or near a weekly top. And that weekly top is likely to hold. And what's likely to happen after it holds, and if it holds, is a continuation to the downside of the former trend. And more than likely, this low is going to get exceeded. Why? Because when you see an A, B, C style correction, the typical case is you get a continuation of the former trend, which is down, and to break to a new low, or to a new local low, right? Does that make sense? This is important. There's another thing that we want to pay attention to as well, which is called bearish divergence. If we look at this top here in terms of price and the momentum, We got a higher price, as in the price has gone up, but the momentum, if it makes a bearish reversal down here, the momentum's gone down. That's a sign of weakness in the market, which means that the sell pressure is likely to be strong, and that it's going to really suppress the price. So that's likely to occur. And we're just understanding that the fundamentals, everything that's going on in the crypto markets right now, in the world right now, is baked into the price. There's billions of dollars of trading volume with Litecoin, and we're looking at crowd psychology, right? All the fundamentals, all the news, all the announcements, all the saga with FTX and how people are feeling about crypto right now and the Bitcoin price. It's all baked in right here, and that's what we're looking at. So now let's just go back to the daily chart. And what I really want to focus on is, this is the same information that we're just looking at on a weekly, but what I want to really focus on is this final part, because what we have is we've got this wave A that we spoke about. It looks like a wave B over here, and it looks like a nice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of a C of a 4. You got your gear, slow down. Hold on, what? That's 3 degrees of counts. That's 3 degrees of a wave of a wave of a wave, telling us we have highly probably met a top. Met a top that's likely to hold. Not guaranteed to hold, but likely to hold. And we're gonna take that with, just really serious. Because now that we see the weekly momentum is likely to turn over the next week, we got the current momentum of the daily is currently bearish. And we've also got something called a bearish divergence. We're going to look at that in a bit more detail. That tells us that this top is looking like it has been made, and that we might see a continuation to the downside. This is what we said, $40, right? Because this is the $40 mark with Litecoin. Well, if this is an A, B, C correction, we don't know. In hindsight, they say it's 2020, right? So we don't know right now, but it's looking highly probable. And if it's the case, we want to bet on the downside, because the weekly is looking like a top. The daily is bearish. We've got bearish divergence. We've got an ABC pattern and making to a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's a wave 4. We've got price targets. Basically, there's a lot. It's called a confluence of events. There's a lot of information saying that we're likely to be going down. So let's just finish off on a couple of things. One, I really want to just zoom in over here. I really want to focus on this part here. I really want to just zoom in and focus here. So if we look at this blue, if I just change this so we can see it a bit clearer. So just get rid of these waves here, and we'll pop up these as like so. And we can see this. So I'm going to put in a question mark. I haven't put in a question mark yet. And by the way, you can download this chart as well. So if you want this analysis, you can download the charts for free. You can upload it into your own trading view and then edit it as you see fit. So let's just pop in a big fat question mark. Let's make it green. And the question mark is really just to tell us it has not been confirmed yet, right? It is looking strong though, because this low over here has just been exceeded. Let me just show you what I'm talking about. All right. So we got this low over here. The price has just exceeded it, right? And we want to be on high alert for that. That's a indication that this top is likely to hold. If this low gets exceeded, especially the closing price, which is here, gets exceeded with a bit of strength, then it's looking like that it's going to continue to the downside. We're probably going to get a correction and then a move down, another correction, and then another move down. That's typically the selling behavior that we're looking for. So what else can we do here? So what I've done already, if I just pull this back up over here, I just want to zoom in a bit more because there's a lot going on the chart, I know. So I just want to zoom in a bit more. I just want to talk about the bearish divergence and pattern reversal signals, right? That can be really helpful for us. Again, we just want to use all the information all the time. So again, the momentum, we got this high and this high, but you can tell it's a lower high, right? From a momentum perspective, but the price has made a higher high, right? That's called a divergence. There's a conflict in information over there, and that's why it's divergent. And that again tells us that the sell pressure is likely to be strong, and that's going to drive the price down. We've got this swing low exceeded, and we're likely to see this exceeded. So a lot of things telling us that, again, this top is likely to hold. So how do we make money from this? Well, it depends on your strategy, but I'm looking to short this right now. Not literally right now. But what I want to do is let's just go to a hourly chart. But before I do, again, I'm telling you, make sure you're taking advantage of the trend identifier dashboard, We've programmed this in to make it really, really simple to use. And it even tells you what you should consider doing. Right now it's stand aside because the momentums are literally pointing in opposite directions. But next week, they're probably going to be pointing in the same direction. And here it's going to say, consider selling. And then you want to look at the other pieces of technical analysis. Again, we're looking at, ideally, the momentum should be your first thing. And it's the minimum. I have it as the minimum condition before even considering a position. And then looking at pattern, price, and time ratios. And if you got the confluence of events, then it makes it a highly probable trade. So let's just now go into an hourly chart, right? And this is what I want to just finish on here. I want to really focus on this last part of the movement. So let's just really zoom it in, just this last part of the movement. What does this look like to you? So the question I'm always asking myself is the movement impulsive or corrective, right? If it's impulsive, it means it's likely to continue to the downside. And if it's corrective, then it tells us a different piece of information. So right now, to me, this looks pretty impulsive. It looks pretty impulsive. It looks pretty impulsive to the downside, right? Pretty impulsive. So what I would like to see, some type of correction. I would love to see some type of correction. And if we get some type of ABC correction to the upside, A, B, C, this is most common and most typical, doesn't mean it's going to occur. It just means it's highly likely to occur. And then we can look for a shorting opportunity over here to drive the price or ride the price. Because again, the trend is your friend. And the trade expectations, just so we're all on the same page, so it's a big move, right? It's a big potential move, should I say. Because what we're looking at over here is what I would like, it doesn't mean it's going to happen, is even if price came a bit lower and we got some type of A, B, C correction, I would like to get some type of tight entry and then ride down what's called a wave 3. There'll be another, more than likely, again, a correction, and then ride the final wave 5, which could be the finish of a trend that's been on the downside since May 2021. That's 18 months or so. So big correction. And then we'll look for reversals. So right now, the bias is on the downside, and we want to take advantage of that information. If you know how to short the market, there might be some nice shorting opportunities. If you're just holding LiteCoin, in fact, let's finish on this because sometimes it's perspective and timing is important. Let me just show you to you so. I just want to give you a bit of a macro. So we're talking about short term because we're talking about the next few weeks. But let's just now look at the macro picture with LiteCoin. So we've had an immense correction. The price went all the way up to $400. Jesus, $400, right? That's what you call hopium, right? When you see these kind of buying movements to the upside, is money runs out. It's almost like a rocket burning its fuel to go as high as it can, and then the fuel just runs out, and then it's okay, now we need to come back down, and that's just typical of buying and selling behavior on all markets, A, B, C. So what we're looking at, and what I want to finish on, to give you a really clear indication, just in case you're a long-term hodler of LiteCoin, is more often than not, after a correction, let's just say we get this final leg of a correction, not saying it's going to happen, it's just likely to happen, and it finishes in this $40 range, and we got it maybe even the $30 range, right? Just going below $40 is here, and then the typical price ratios are these external retracements. If it does finish off as an ABC correction, which is what we're looking at here, again, I just want to make sure I'm making myself crystal clear, in the amber ABC, what typically occurs next over the coming months and years is that this high will normally get exceeded. Again, not overnight, but it'll be something like this, and then eventually something like that to go up. But right now, the immediate next few weeks, it looks highly probable it's going to be sideways to down because of the momentum, the pattern, the price ratios, and there's a few other factors as well. And now we're looking for, right now, let's get a tight entry so we can make a lot of money on the way down and leverage this information. So check out the trend identifier. It takes the macro, it takes the micro. You can do 20 different assets. I have a whole training on how to utilize it. You can be quite creative. You can use it as a screener to kind of get a snapshot of 20 different assets, or you can use it on the chart like we did with LiteCoin, where we're looking at the specific trend and waiting for the what to do section to say, consider buying, consider selling, because the momentum, double time frame momentum, two momentums are pointing in the same direction. And then whatever your strategy is, whether you're using patterns, whether you're using Elliott waves like I do with Fibonacci, whether you're using, double bottoms, triple bottoms, whatever you're using, moving averages, you can have this extra thing to increase the odds of you winning the game. Because our job, really, we're in the business of probabilities, right? Probabilities. We're the casino. We want to be the casino because the casino in the house always wins. So let's finish on this. Is a quote from, actually, it's not in my book. I got a book that I published back in 2017. But this particular quote is what we said already, but I just want to emphasize it because the trend identifier dashboard would help you do this in a practical fashion. The trend is your friend. Ride it until its end, until it reaches its bend. The intermediate trend with LiteCoin is an A, B, C to the upside. It is looking like it's coming towards its end and its bend. And then we want to now go right. It looks like it's going to be a new trend to the downside on the intermediate, which is going to marry up with the macro. So we've got a wave C pointing down, and we've got that fifth wave of a wave C pointing down. So we go right now seems the right time to be considering shorting LiteCoin, because if it goes from $80 to below $40 and you get a nice high entry, there can be some significant profits, and you're going to make 10, 20, 30, or you're going to make 90, 80, 90% of your money in around 10, 20, 30% of your trades. So when we see these setups, we want to pounce on them, leverage them, and then ride them until the end.